Test.
Okay, we'll call this meeting of the Guam Election Commission to order. It is 5:34 p.m. We are located here at the Guam Election Commission Conference Room at the Oka Building in Tamuning, Guam. We're also live stream on the GEC website at gec.guam.gov/board. Quorum is present. Present is myself, Jerry Crisostomo, Chairman. Commissioner Joe Mafnas, Vice Chair, Commissioner Ricky Orsini, Commissioner Joe Meno, Commissioner Pat Seville, Commissioner Benny Panaula, and Commissioner Tony Matauta. Also present is Maria Pangilinan, Executive Director, and Vince Camacho, our legal counsel. Certification of public notice requirements. This was posted on the Guam Daily Post and the Guam Public Notice website, dated August 6th and August 8th. We'll move on to item 3, approval of agenda. I would just like to mention that I would like to table on item section 6, item D, E, F, and G, table those items for our convening meeting on Friday. But other than that, I'd like to get a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Panaula, second by Commissioner Meno. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay, moving on to the approval of minutes. We have July 25th, regular meeting. The minutes are on page 6. August 1st, regular meeting, and then August 3rd, regular meeting on page 10 and 12. And I would like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes subject to any corrections of these 3 meetings.
Mr. Chair, I hereby make a motion that these 3 items be approved subject to correction.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Tony Matauta to approve the minutes subject to corrections for July 25th, August 1st, and August 3rd. Second. There's second by Commissioner Seville. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay. Moving on to Executive Director's Report. Maria?
On page 16 is our timeline, we want to request that if we can do early voting, if we can settle at least the early voting timeline times from October 14th to October 28th. That would be the same amount of time as we did for the primary election. It'll be Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6, And then we will do one extra Monday.
That's a 2-week time frame, right?
Yes.
So that's October
14 to
14
20.
to the 28th.
through October 28th as the early voting for the general election. The venue is the same place at the Westin?
Oh, we have to go through procurement
For that?
process. Yeah,
Okay.
for that. So we don't have a venue yet, as
Okay.
of yet. And then if you'll notice the general election and early voting is in the fiscal year, in the new fiscal year. So
Right.
it complicates procurement a little bit.
Okay. Okay, any discussion on the dates? Okay. You need
I need
approval on those
approval,
dates?
yeah.
Okay, so we'll entertain a motion to approve the dates of October 14th through October 28th as the early vote dates for the general election,
With one extra Monday, right?
with one extra Monday. Yeah, that's the 28th, yeah.
I second.
So moved by, motion by Commissioner Tony Gamatau, seconded by Commissioner Ricky Orsini. All those in favor say aye. Oppose? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, on the timeline, because the primary election has not been certified, there are other parts of the timeline for the general election, including the ballot placement drawing that we have just tentatively scheduled. So until such time as we do the certification of the primary, right now it's scheduled for, I believe, the 16th, which is Friday. If the certification takes place on Friday, we'd probably do the ballot placement maybe on Monday, but that does not need a commission meeting. We can do the ballot placement outside a commission meeting. I'm just worried, I won't, on, the Friday meeting's going to be long enough.
Yeah.
So we want to do the ballot placement drawing at another time.
Okay. Anything else, candidate packet?
Mr. Chair, so on page 21 are the people that are the candidates that file packets for the general election. And then we will look at ratification of the candidates that submitted their packets, their complete packets on Roman numeral 8.
Okay, any questions, comments? Okay,
Okay. With regard to absentee voting, the absentee voting report is on your table. It's the long one. So the last day to accept to receive off-island absentee ballots is Friday, August 16th at 5 o'clock. Hence, we will start counting and reconvene our meeting at 5:30 on Friday. We had sent out 149 absentee ballots. So right now, to be counted, we have about 52 off-island absentee ballots, 88 homebound ballots, and the homebounds were the ones we serviced first through the third, even on election day. And then,
is the homebound part of the 149?
no, the
This is
home,
off-island only.
yeah, okay, the off-island, that's how many we sent out. So far, we've received 52. Okay, so we have 52 so far that we can count, and then the homebound is 88 that we're going to count. And then we have some express votes that we had kept because there may have been some problems with the affidavits. So altogether, so far, We have 145 ballots to be counted.
Okay, any questions, comments from the commissioners?
Okay. With precinct officials, so we received 15 no-shows. Some of them called us on time for the precinct officials for the primary. But for the first time, I think we received about up to 8 that didn't even notify us that they were not going to come. And when the commissioners visited the precincts, you know, we met some of those, one in Agate, and then there were, so there is Agate, there's MTM, and other precincts. So these people, I think we send their names to the AG too. The ones that didn't even tell us, yeah, because they swore to come at 5:30 on election day.
What did you say, 15?
There's
show?
15 altogether, but some of them called us like at 5:21 in the morning of the election day. And it could be that they had a medical emergency or something, but some of us called us long after. And some of us didn't even tell us that they were not going to show.
Okay, any questions, comments from the commissioners on that? Okay, moving on to item E, the monthly voter by precinct.
Okay. So we had the 60,453 for the primary. That's the last report we have. We opened registration. We don't have a report here because, right? No. We don't have a report because that was from the
Previous,
primary,
right.
yeah. But we opened registration already on Monday, including motor voter and online. Okay, so that's E and F.
Okay,
Okay, so for the G, for the grant, sir, we put a report together, and it should be in the packet on the side, in the back, the very back, I believe.
yeah. Is this one, the
Yes,
tiny,
it's this
tiny zero font?
Sorry. Yeah, you have it? Okay. So if you look at the back page, that's a summary of the grants we have received. And, okay. Yes. Anthony sent that to me.
So you're saying the balance here is 909?
Yes,
1,000.
but we haven't paid for the new machines
Right.
yet. And the upgrades on the express votes. The new machines are about 333,000.
The 2 new machines
Mm-hmm.
that made us stop at 3 in the morning.
Two.
Mr. Chair, how much will be you said the upgrade, Maria? How much would that cost?
Oh, the upgrades on the express votes, I don't have an invoice yet. So they upgraded the 10 express votes that we have. That one, we haven't received the invoice. Thank you.
Okay, any questions, comments from the commissioners on this? This is good to keep track of, right?
Yeah.
I think Commissioner Orsini, you requested the
Yes.
breakdown of this, right? Yeah, I like this. Okay. Moving on to item
H.
H.
Still on hold, sir.
Okay.
They're holding us because of the elections.
Okay. Item I, election campaign contributions.
So it's due this Friday.
Yeah.
The final report for the primary election is due this Friday, August 16th. So some candidates have already filed.
And that's for the primary
Final
and the
report.
final of the primary. Okay. Okay, any questions, comments? Moving on to item 6, the 2024 primary election, voter challenges. Defer that to legal or?
So, Mr. Chair, you have before you copies of the administrative complaints and challenge forms that were received prior to and on the day of the election. We've also received rebuttals from some of the candidates or some of the challengees. And those are also in the packet. Hot off the press, you do have an analysis and recommendation for each of the 20 complaints that were given to you, today. And so
That's this report here?
yes. So did you guys want to go through it one by one? And okay. So the way we identified this is we assigned a complaint number, and that's the reference number that's indicated on the memo. And so the first one, PE, which stands for primary election, number 1, it identifies who the parties are. It identifies the allegations, the analysis, and the recommendation. So for number 1, the complainant was Johnson Augustine, and the respondent was Aaron Vincent Apparon. The allegations were that Mr. Apparon was not a resident of Hagåtña, therefore not eligible to vote in the Hagåtña district election. So what was provided was the AORs for the voter, and indicated that the respondent's address was 181 Franquez Street. When that was identified, 181 Franquez Street is actually located in district of Mongmong Totu Maiti, and therefore not Hagåtña. The respondent did indicate on his AOR that it was 181 Franquez Street, Hagåtña. But if we looked at the prior AOR, the true district was Mongmong Totu Maiti. And so therefore we deem the challenge as valid because Mr. Apparon is not a resident of Hagåtña. Any questions on that one?
I have a question, Mr. Chair. Will we be voting on each of these challenges separately?
Yeah, because that determines whether their vote is counted or not, so you will have to vote.
So we'll be voting after legal gives his presentation?
Do you
everybody?
want to, it's really up to you. Do you want to vote as we go through each one, or do you want to do it one by one after all of them?
I think we should just go ahead and vote as you complete the, each. So we got a motion to accept.
Mr. Chairman,
Legal
motion to
further.
accept the recommendation from legal counsel in regards to challenge to Aaron Vincent Apparon, residing at 181 Franquez Street in Mongmong Totu Maiti.
Mr. Chair, so I'm a little bit familiar with this address. So we verified with the mayor's office that this is not within the Hagåtña's jurisdiction?
Yeah, so how we verified this was through the motor voter registration.
Oh, okay.
So when someone renews their license and indicates their residential address, the system automatically puts them in the appropriate district.
District, okay.
So this district on this street indicates Mongmong Totu Maiti, number 1. But number 2, if you looked at the person's prior AOR, it did say 181 Franquez Street, Mongmong Maiti, Guam. So it looks like just in 2024, they changed the AOR to 181 Franquist Street, Hagåtña, Guam.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, in light of the recommendation,
Sorry.
I recommend that we pull the provisional ballot.
I just have a question. For each of these individuals, right, were each of these voters contacted and just notified? Maybe were given the opportunity to provide a response?
Yes, a letter was sent to all of the challengees, and they were given till yesterday at 5 p.m. to provide a rebuttal. And we should say that, I hope I say that in here.
And I saw some of the rebuttals.
So, yeah, so I indicated if there was a rebuttal, what the rebuttal said, and whether it complied with the law.
Yeah. Okay, so, again, you had
The motion is
Is there a motion?
to remove the provisional ballot for Mr. Aaron Vincent Apparon in light of the recommendation from legal counsel.
Okay. So, motion on the floor to remove this provisional ballot for this voter. It's registered 6332. Is there a second to the motion? Second by Commissioner Gumatautau. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, that's the first.
Okay, ready for the next one? Okay, the next one's identified as PE002, and this was filed by Mr. Johnson Augustine. The respondent was Vincent Anthony Pangilinan Apparon, and it's the same exact issue as PE001, where the address was 181 Franquist Street in Mighty, Guam, and not Hagåtña, Guam. So the recommendation would be the same.
I do have a question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I believe a couple of cycles ago, there was some discussion about a boundary dispute between Mighty and Hagåtña. I don't recall how that was resolved. I just recall there was some confusion. And I would ask council whether can we be confident in relying on motor DMV about this, about which village this is in?
Well, we didn't only rely on that. That was just one factor.
Okay.
But we also relied on the prior AORs, which had 181 Franquist Street, Mighty, Guam. So they were voting in the correct district before, and if you notice, they changed district just in June 2024 to say 181 Franquist Street, Hagåtña.
Hagåtña, yeah. Okay. So this is the same situation as the first case. So,
That is correct.
okay, so I entertain a motion to accept.
Mr. Chairman, move a motion in reference to PE002 to remove the provisional ballot.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Any second? Second by Commissioner Gumatautau. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, abstain? Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, that motion passes and that provisional ballot is removed. We'll go to number 3, PE003.
Okay, Mr. Chair, for PE003, it's the same situation. The parties are Johnson Augustine as the complainant, and the respondent is Genevieve McLonia Apparon. It's the same exact situation on the AORs. It's showing 181 Franquist Street, Hagåtña. 181 Franquist Street is located in the Mangmongtoto Mighty district. So our recommendation would be the same.
Okay. So a motion to accept that recommendation.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Panaula. Is there a second to that motion? Commissioner Gumatautau, second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, the ayes have it, so PE003 is also accepted. Moving on to PE004.
Okay, Mr. Chair, for PE 004, the complainant was Johnson Augustine, the respondent was Alicia Gumatautau, and the complaint alleges or asserts that the respondent unlawfully voted in Precinct 1, which is Hagåtña, while not being a resident of Hagåtña, as the address used for registration, 546 West Marine Corps Drive, Hagåtña, is a business address. And so this was provided for. We looked through the statute. The statute explicitly says that you can't use a business address as your residential, a business as your residential address. It also states that to establish residency in the district or municipality, a person must be domiciled in that area for at least 30 days immediately prior to the election, and they can only have one domicile. Under Section 3 GCA 3101, only qualified electors residing within the specific municipality are eligible to vote for the offices. 3 GCA 9123 B4 and 7 says you can't use a business address as a residential address. And if a person sets up a home separate from their family and intends to stay there, they're illegally considered a resident of that new home. In this case, although the address 546 West Marine Corps Drive, Hagåtña, might also be known residentially as 542 6th Street, West Hagåtña, or the Gumatautau building, the respondent's rebuttal did not clarify this point and only stated her registered voter status in Hagåtña. She failed to provide additional evidence supporting her claim within the 7-day period, which ended on yesterday. Conversely, the complainant has submitted photographs indicating that the address listed in the respondent's affidavit of registration is a business address, and you all saw that, the picture of when the complaint was filed. Therefore, the respondent has not sufficiently demonstrated residency as required by 9123A, and the complainant's challenge under 9118 is valid. So we would recommend the same disposition as the prior challenges.
Mr. Chair, I have a few concerns, and it's in regards to the photographs that were submitted. Who submitted those photos?
The complainant.
The complainant, the candidate.
Well,
So,
no, the person who filed the complaint, yes.
the person who filed the complaint. So the person who filed the complaint, is that person law enforcement?
No, I don't believe so.
So the person who filed the complaint took the initiative to go out and take pictures of residential homes?
Well, this one wasn't a home, it was a business, and it's out in the public.
I remember those photos. There was one photo of a home.
Yes, that's not this case. This case was the photo of the business.
Of the business, okay.
Yeah, I guess to validate the complainant's
Right.
complaint, is they took the initiative to take a picture of the address that was listed
Correct.
on the voter roll.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
so, when I go to the citation, right, 3 GCA 9123B4, it just simply states the mere intention to acquire a new residence without physical presence at such places does not establish residency. Although it may be a business address, I mean, I know several folks who own mom and pop stores that do live in their business, usually on the second floor. And I have a bit of familiarity with the Hagåtña master plan and the difficulty it went through. And I recognize that Hagåtña, unlike most villages, is a multi-zone district where you do have overlapping uses in that village. So, I mean, I don't see anything explicit that says somebody cannot live in their home. And unless I don't see anything else that states this person stays elsewhere, I'm not, there's so many people that live in their businesses. And considering Hagåtña's unique characteristic of being a multi-zone village, I'm uncomfortable with deeming this valid.
Ms. Ballot.
Well, I think so you're going to see in another challenge that the person did provide proof that although it's a business building, that they are living in that building. This person didn't provide that proof. And that's why there's a difference.
Does she have the opportunity within the time frame to provide
Correct.
some
So
proof?
like for instance, the other individual who we deemed their vote to count, which we will discuss later on in the packet, actually provided utility bills in their name for their house and actually provided more detailed information as to that they actually live there. This individual didn't even provide anything whatsoever to substantiate their residence or that they're living there. So
But
I think it's important to understand that even throughout the spirit of the law is you vote where you reside if you're on Guam, right? And taking it outside of that context sort of negates the law. So we went through this, there's many iterations of this you can go through. So if in this specific case, that is a business and there's no one living there, then it's not a legitimate residence, right? And so this individual in their rebuttal did not provide substantial information to allow us to make that determination.
if I
Yes,
could
Commissioner
inquire.
Sewell.
I'm sorry. It looks like, Vince, it appears that you're referring to the other challenge you're referring to is PE 006.
Yes.
Okay. The respondents in both appear to be related, same family name anyway. And it's the same address.
But if you look at the evidence that,
Well, hang on. So, I mean, it looks like there's although it's a business, it appears it's also being occupied as a resident.
part of it, yes. And we don't know, and that's because the addresses are different. If you see, there's 546, and then there's 542, right? And so there wasn't, we were unsure as to which one was which, but with regard to 546, that was the picture with the business.
I know, but both have the same narrative about the description of the
location.
of the
yes.
location, using both 546 and 542 6th Street.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, to me, this kind of raises the question, if one member of the family has the utilities in their name, and another member quite possibly would not, so that doesn't conclusively show they're not living there.
No, but there was nothing substantial to prove that they also lived there. So I'll leave that up to you.
Okay.
But this is just based on the information we received by both the challengee and
Yeah, but they submitted.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in this
And the
case, this
rebuttal.
one did not submit any.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I understand, thank you.
Okay, so is there a motion to accept legal counsel's recommendation on this PE 004?
Mr. Chairman, so move.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Penala. Is there a second? Second to that motion?
We're on 5, I think, aren't we?
We're on
we're
004.
4. Yeah, I'm sorry, 4. 6.
So there's a motion on the floor to accept legal counsel's recommendation. Is there a second to the motion? Anybody? There's no second to the motion, and that motion
Fails.
dies, yeah.
Motion fails.
Okay, motion fails for PE 004.
Okay, so for the next one, PE 005, it's the same, same facts. And so in this case, that we did not find sufficient evidence that this was their residential address.
And in with this complaint, they didn't provide any proof as well?
It's the same family name.
They provided a rebuttal, but they didn't say anything other than they lived in
Other than
Guam.
their, proof, yeah. Okay, is there a motion to accept legal counsel's recommendation as valid for PE 005? A motion?
No motion for PE 004. I don't see why we should move a motion for PE 005. Similar.
There's no.
Well, you have to at
motion.
least deny it.
We deny
Right, you
it.
need to act on it.
Maybe there's a motion. So the motion would have to be a motion to deny, or what would the motion be?
Motion be to accept the provisional ballot.
Well, if there's a motion and it fails, that's enough.
No, because we need actual resolution. So you either
Isn't denying the challenge?
deny the challenge. You either
So the
accept the
motion would be
challenge
to
or
either
deny
accept
the
or deny the
challenge.
challenge.
But you can deny the challenge by not.
If no
voting
one
on the
votes for
motion.
it, but at least there's a motion. Yeah.
Okay. Move to adopt council's recommendation on 005. So we can,
Okay, so there is a motion to accept PE 005 as recommended by council. Is there a second to that motion? Any second to the motion? Okay, no second to the motion, so the motion fails.
Okay, the next one is PE 006. And again, the complainant was John San Augustine. This time, the respondent was Michael Thomas Cruz Gumatautau. For the same reasons, however, Mr. Gumatautau did provide additional information. These documents, which included tax and utility payments and a court petition regarding inheritance, demonstrate his residency at the disputed address. The utility bills specifically corroborate that the address is known by the interchangeable names mentioned. Furthermore, the respondent has declared his candidacy for mayor in Higатña and his eligibility for a residency requiring residence in the area for 1 year immediately preceding the date of any special or general election per 5 GCA 40108 has been validated by and approved by the commission. Therefore, the respondent has adequately established residency in Higatña under 3 GCA 91203, and therefore the challenge would be deemed invalid and his vote should be able to be cast.
So this is the candidate?
Yes.
They made a complaint against the candidate that was vetted through GEC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but the difference with this and the previous is that he's able to provide proof of actually residing there through their utility bill and address. Okay. Is there a motion to accept legal counsel's recommendation deeming the complaint invalid for PE 006? This is a motion to.
Mr. Chair, would it be, sorry, can you explain the motion again?
The motion is to accept legal counsel's recommendation deeming the complaint invalid, as opposed to valid, invalid for PE 006.
so moved.
Okay, moved by Commissioner Seville. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Gumatautau. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Okay. Ayes have it.
Okay, so next we move on to PE 007. The complainant was Mr. Johnson Augustine. The respondent was Lisa Obias. Upon being informed by the board that she was not in the right district, she agreed to comply and she went to go vote in her proper village. It didn't say what village or district she ended up voting for. So therefore, we recommend declaring her registration and vote in Hagåtña as invalid.
Move to approve council's recommendation.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville to accept council's recommendation, second by Commissioner Penala. Any further discussions? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain? Okay, the ayes have it. PE 08.
So PE 008, sorry, again, the complainant was Johnson Augustine. The respondent was Ronald Peralta Obias, for the same reasons that once they were told they were not in the correct village, they agreed to comply and they voted in their district they were supposed to. So we recommend declaring the registration and the vote in Hagåtña as invalid.
Invalid. Here's our motion to accept. Motion by Commissioner Seville.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Penala. Any further discussions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose, abstain, ayes have it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sorry, I just have a question. How were these voters advised, and when did they agree to comply?
It would have been on election day because they didn't vote.
They didn't vote, they were challenged at that point.
They didn't vote in Hagåtña. They went to go. So they're probably a provisional somewhere else, if they did go there.
Commissioner Ricky, the precinct officials noted it on their challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, that noted they got a note, noted that the two voters agreed.
So the two voters actually
Yes.
showed up to vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when it was challenged.
That's when it's challenged. Okay, PE 009.
PE 009, in this case, it was a complaint that on about August 3rd, the complainant complained to the Guam Election Commission that he was not given ample time to verify the roster or to challenge the vote. Under 3 GCA 9136, precinct officials must confirm the voter's full name, address, and valid ID. Once verified and found on the precinct roster, they must publicly announce the voter's name. If there are no challenges, the voter is then allowed to sign the roster and proceed to vote. However, the complainant claims that the names were being announced at the same time the voters were signing the registry, which may have prevented timely verification of voter identities by the roster checker or the poll watcher. If these allegations are accurate, it suggests a potential breach of the legal voting procedures. So in conclusion, the process described by the complainant where voters' names were announced concurrently with the signing of the registry could hinder the ability of roster checkers or poll workers to verify voter identities against a precinct roster accurately. This deviation from the procedures mandated by 3 GCA 9126 compromises the integrity of the voting process. If these claims are substantiated, they violated the established voting regulations. So there's really nothing to vote on with this. It's just a complaint that was lodged and a concern that the commissioners may want to consider in the next cycle to ensure that precinct officials provide ample time for poll watchers.
Yeah, what is the process now? What is the process now for precinct officials when they?
They wait a few seconds before they sign. So they announce, the voter gives them the ID, gives the precinct official the ID. The precinct official will look up the name on the roster. They will announce the name once they find it on the roster, give it a few seconds, and then they'll write either vote absentee or make the voter sign.
Yeah.
The problem is if the voter signs before the challenge is made, we now have a record of the voter signing the roster.
Yeah.
And so that's where the problem could occur in the future. And
Yeah.
so ample
Yeah.
time, I don't know what the ample time is,
Yeah.
but that should be something that at least, I mean, from my experience, I know the poll watchers normally say, or give some kind of indication that
Yeah.
everything's good. But
So there's got to be ample time for when the precinct official clearly states the name, that the poll watchers have time to either challenge or give
right.
an okay to it. Okay, so that's noted. Okay, complaint PE 010.
Okay, so complaint PE 0010, the complainant was Jovina San Augustine, and the respondents are as follows: Dorothy Lou McLaughlin Duenas, Jean Thomas Gumatauta Duenas, John Paul G. Duenas, Leilani V. Duenas, Lena M. G. Duenas, Alvina Lynn Gumatauta, Balbino Gumatauta, Deanna Lynn Regis Gumatauta, Francine M. Gumatauta, Ignacia Maria Gumatauta, Victoria Regis Gumatauta, Jeremy Rojas, Teresa Victoria Gumatauta Rojas, and Jared Leon Guerrero. So the allegations are pretty much the same, that none of the respondents are residents of Hagåtña. And so the applicable statute again is 3 GCA 9123A, where it states the commission shall not register any applicant who fails to provide sufficient information for it to determine residency. And then under 3 GCA 9123, B1, residency of a person is a place that lives for a period of at least 30 days and maintains a person's home. Further, 9123B7 states that for purpose of establishing residency in a district or municipality, a person shall be domiciled in that district or municipality for at least 30 days immediately prior to the election, and there can only be one place of domicile. And lastly, again, 3 GCA 3101, if the election of municipal division or district officers, only those otherwise qualified electors who reside in the municipality or division concerned shall have the right to vote. So let's first talk about the first group under the abandoned address section. So in this case, Dorothy Duenas, Jean Duenas, John Duenas, Leilani Duenas, Lena Duenas, all use the address of 131 Dulce Nombre de Maria Hagåtña to register their votes. Again, specifically the motor voter, when we looked at the motor voter listing for Dorothy and Lou Duenas, their address is 117 Gajuman Street, Barragata, not Hagåtña. Further, the complainant has provided photographs showing that the address, 131 Dulce Nombre de Maria, is a house that has been abandoned since last year, at least, Typhoon Mawar. And therefore, no evidence indicates that Dorothy or Jean are residents of Hagåtña at that address. Further, none of the Duenas has provided rebuttal, proving that the address was not abandoned or that they are currently reside there. As such, the respondents mentioned above have not provided sufficient evidence to establish residency in Hagåtña, and the complainant's challenge under 3 GCA 9118D is valid. Any questions on that?
I maybe it's not a question, legal, but I have a concern that the photographs submitted were from a candidate. Is the candidate law enforcement to be going around taking pictures of residences, whether it's abandoned or not?
I don't believe the candidate is law enforcement.
Okay.
But I also don't believe there's any law that prohibits anyone from taking pictures
True.
to
But
show.
I think that's kind of disturbing for me that, so is that okay that we allow candidates to go around taking pictures of residents, although there's nothing that states it, but I think that opens an interpretation for maybe stalking.
Well, I think if the house is deemed abandoned and there's photographs that is abandoned, there's no one living there, I think that's the only point that the person providing the pictures are trying to prove.
True.
There would be no other reason, and there would be no other way for them to.
Understood, but, you know, the complaint was submitted into GEC, so let GEC vet the process. I don't think that we should be going around taking pictures. That's kind of disturbing for me.
Okay.
And I just want to put that out for the record that I think we should advise our candidates to please follow the rules and regs, and if there was a complaint that was already submitted to Guam Election Commission, then okay. We let Guam Election Commission handle by way of its process, and that we shouldn't be going around taking pictures.
Well, I think the GEC process is everyone, whether you're the challenger or the challengee. So the challenger can present any evidence they need to state their case, but so does the challengee, right? So the challengee has 7 days to provide evidence, just like in PE 006. PE 006, and in this case, the respondents could have also taken pictures of the actual house and said, we do live in it. But there was no attempt to rebut the fact that the house was abandoned.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Singh.
I take the right to vote very seriously, right? I hold it very sacred, and I'm only comfortable, right, to deem somebody's vote invalid if there's sufficient evidence. You know, when I initially looked at the photos, right, and saw that it was taken on one day at different times of the day, and, you know, although it looks boarded up, I mean, and there's no cars, if you drove by somebody's house who went on vacation for the summer, it would also be boarded up with no cars. They would be at the airport. So, I mean, even considering they didn't respond, it could be various reasons. Maybe they are on vacation, or, you know, I also want to know, you know, when this, you know, it states here that their, what is this, motor voter is Barragata, but when was that date? Did we get a date?
It might be on here. Was it part of the, Maria, wasn't it part of the, submission? The motor voter?
The address of the motor voter.
No. So the, Vince, what we gave you were the most recent affidavits of registration. If
Yeah,
it
but
was
these were motor voter, these two.
the,
The address was verified through motor voter.
yes, so which two are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Dorothy and Jean.
Jean. Okay, so, we can pull it out.
So GC has access to that.
Yeah.
And
We'll
that's
get you the
what
dates.
is,
Yeah.
that's what it is attached, because that's an official AOR, right? So it would have been an AOR, the most recent AOR.
DMV.
Yeah, because motor voter comes to you guys, and that's your verification to register them to vote. So that's another AOR, another version of the AOR when they go and update their driver's license.
Yeah.
Vince, we have one for Jean Dueñas, and this one is dated November 22.
So 22, and then when was the last AOR?
For,
And that was the Barragata address?
Yes.
yes. And then the next one was 24, June 2020, June 28, 2024.
So in 2024, he says, what address?
131 Dulce Nombre de Maria.
Yeah, so that's the abandoned house.
Okay. And for Dorothy, the motor voter was September 2023.
23. And then the AOR, 2024.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair.
I just got the concern that I want to bring up. All these names that appear in the first group, right? My question here, was this challenge before they vote, or did they vote already, or what?
They voted already.
They
These
voted
guys
and then
voted.
the challenge. Okay, now the
These
next
guys-
question I have, the person is making this because I understand that the poll watcher can do the challenge, correct?
The poll watchers, yes, can do the
Was
challenge.
this person that submit this name a poll watcher?
I don't know.
Oh, that's
I
my
don't know who
question,
the poll
because
watchers are.
how does this name appear if it's not a poll watcher to challenge this?
Because these were all challenges that were done at early voting. So these people were already on the roster as being voted.
Early vote,
And
that's how they found the
so
name.
you can challenge them before they get put into the ballot, or into the box. You have to challenge them before they get into the box, because otherwise on election night, these guys aren't at the polls because they already voted early. So the
This all
challenge,
early vote?
Yes.
Am I correct?
correct.
And those names are all.
That's what I understand from the staff.
Maria, that's accurate? That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Actually, this complaint was filed before Election Day.
Yeah. But these voters voted already through the early votes. Okay.
So the complaints are timely.
Yes,
There's no, that's
Yes.
not an issue.
that's correct.
Right.
So they were challenged at the early vote center?
No, they were challenged. So once they got the roster of who voted early, then they made the challenge, because they signed the early voting absentee roster. They did not sign the poll, the registry, the one everyone signs on election day, because you cannot do that, right, until election day.
So it's timely.
It's timely.
Yeah. And those names, people that voted early on election day, those names are called out, those precincts.
Yeah.
That's how you kind of find out who already voted. Okay, any, oh, you want to go on to the next
So,
one?
are you ready for the next one?
I guess I can't speak on the microphone.
What happened? Yours is green.
It doesn't mind to speak, maybe because everybody's microphone's on. Hello, okay. I did notice, right, the mention of Mawar in this complaint, how that happened, the roof flew off after Mawar, but I know, of a few families who after Mawar, they were in substandard housing and are still in temporary housing. So, I'm just still a bit uncomfortable not knowing whether, is that the case for this family?
And I think that's a problem, right? They were notified that their votes were being challenged. They were given the same opportunity to rebut. They could have explained exactly that, right? But there was no response. So we can't assume for them that it could have been any number of reasons why. That would have been the easiest response, is we had to move out temporarily because our house got destroyed. But the response was,
No response in these
there was no
cases, yeah.
response.
How did we try to contact them?
Each one of them received a letter.
These letters were sent certified or registered so that we
They-
know the letters were
Yeah.
received and
They were sent via email. And so we confirmed, Tomas, we confirmed that they received them? Yes, we confirmed that they received them.
that they received.
Yes, the email. Mhm.
Yeah.
And they were given ample time.
They were given more time than the challengers were.
7 days, yeah.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
It's interesting hearing this because this comes up every election cycle, particularly when there are
The
mayoral elections.
Yeah.
And in past years, the dispute has often been between people very openly saying, well, yeah, I've moved to Chico, but my heart's in Molesso, and I always intend to go back there. And the commission had, and this cuts, you know, it's a cross-party sort of issue. And the commission, I think, very firmly has come down and been consistent in saying, no, it's not where your heart is, it's where you actually sleep at night, where you reside. I don't think, you know, I'm listening to my colleagues, and I'm sensitive to wanting to give everybody their vote, but I don't think it's unduly burdensome to expect a challenged person to present at least some evidence that they live, you know, a photograph, you know, or something, as a selfie in front of the house, you know, something that
Some
would,
proof.
that would give evidence that they actually live there, you know. On this one, open the door to the house and show that it's not abandoned, you know, that you have access to it at least. That may not be enough proof, but at least it would be, I think it would be something that the commission could then look at. But here, they haven't offered anything, and I think it's fair to put a little burden on the voter here.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I think the law mandates the commission to make that determination, right? So I'm not sure, and this is sort of what we say in here, is I'm not sure how the commission can make that determination when there's no rebuttal or there's no further evidence to substantiate the challenge or to debunk the challenge. Because if that, like Commissioner Seville said, is if there is a picture of them living in the house even though there's no roof, that would totally debunk the fact that they're not living there, right? Or some remnant, or even if they are not living there, the fact that because their house is temporarily destroyed, that they're forced to live temporarily somewhere else, that's something the commission can also consider. But again, there was nothing provided to us with regard to these individuals.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Legal Counsel, I'm sorry, but one of the names there is actually a Uokava voter that we did not tell you about. So Alvina Gumatautau is a Uokava voter.
So did she vote? Oh, yes, she did vote.
Yes, she did vote.
But did she vote at early voting?
No, absentee.
Absence.
So,
Off island,
Uokava.
right? Off island.
so how did it get in that batch?
Because it was going to be sent to the precinct.
So it got mixed with the
No, it's
early
not
voting
mixed.
batch?
Off-island ballots that come before we batch the absentees, the early voting, the homebound, even off-island ballots go to the precinct.
Okay, no, I understand that, but this ballot was part of the early voting batch? That, no? Well, I don't know how and was she sent a letter?
Yes.
And did she use 131?
546.
Oh, yeah. Huh?
546, I believe.
Okay, so we're not at Alvina yet.
Yeah.
This is not, she's not on this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's the same, she's on the same list.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
not for the same reason.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're still actually on
The
the
abandoned-
E010 on the, now we're going to the second set.
So are we
right?
okay with the abandoned?
I still have my reservations. I mean, I feel that the burden should be on the challenger. And, you know, in looking at the law, it says maintains that person's home. I see the grass is cut. So I'm a bit still uncomfortable. And I hope we vote on these individually.
Okay.
Want to vote like on the Duenas group and then, yeah.
Okay, so we discussed the Duenas. Do we want to vote on that set? recommendation first. So the Dueñas would be,
So that would be Dorothy Dueñas, Jean Dueñas, John Dueñas, Leilani Dueñas, Lena Dueñas, using the address of 131 Doce Nombre de Maria, Haggaña.
and the legal counsel recommendation is that the challenge,
Is
based on
valid.
this, the challenge is valid because the voters did not respond, right? They didn't provide any response to the challenge. Yeah. So, there a motion to accept legal counsel's recommendation that the complainant's challenge is valid for the first set of voters. Motion. Motion by Commissioner Seville. Is there a second? Second to the motion to accept?
Setting precedent.
Okay, motion fails. Move on to the next set.
Okay, so the next one is, deals with Alvina Gumatautau, Balbino Gumatautau, Deanna Lynn Regis Gumatautau, and Ignacia Maria C. Gumatautau, and Victoria Regis Gumatautau. This is the one they're also using the business address at 546 West Marine Corps Drive, Haggaña. And again, for the same reasons why we talked about earlier, the complainant submitted photographs indicating the address listed is a business location, and consequently, the respondents failed to provide adequate evidence to establish residency in Haggaña as mandated by the relevant statutes. Therefore, the complainant's challenge under 3 GCA 9118D is substantiated and valid.
Mr. Chair and legal counsel, so
Yes.
this is this is Alvina Gumatautau, who's actually a Uwakava voter.
The question is not whether she's Uwakava, the question is whether she is a resident of 546 West Marine Corps Drive to be eligible to vote.
What is her address?
546 West Marine Corps Drive. So that's her, the latest AOR we have is in 2008. And I don't know how long she's been a Uwakava voter, but for the 2024 primary election, we know that she's a Uwakava voter.
Does that make a difference if she's a qualified voter?
I think so, yes. But that's,
So any Uwakava person, whether they're a resident of,
it's the last vote, last known resident.
so
even,
that's what we're questioning. The
Yeah.
last known residence is not a valid residence.
Okay, I
And
just
so
wanted-
it could be back then in
8.
2008, it could have been a house, but we don't know, right? And that's
the most
the
updated,
most recent one. And so
AOR we
was she
have.
sent a letter?
Yes, she was.
Did she respond?
No.
None of these responded, right?
No.
That's the same situation as the, not the previous, but the other P5, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a motion to accept legal counsel's recommendation that the complaint for these voters, the Gumatautos, are valid? Is valid?
Are invalid. I'm sorry.
Well, they recommended that the challenge is valid.
The challenge
Yeah.
is valid. The votes would be invalid.
In other words, the votes will be removed.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, are we also including Alvina Gumatautau, the Uwakava voter, in this?
Yes, because she
Well,
didn't
that's what-
respond.
Yeah.
She was notified and she didn't respond.
Okay, granted, she didn't respond, but she is a UCAVA voter.
Yeah, so we go back to her last known residence, and her last known residence was the illegitimate residence.
It wasn't 546.
It was 546.
546, yeah. So it may have been a,
And I don't,
A
you know,
residence.
back in 2002, I don't know what that,
I just want to make sure we're consistent.
yeah.
I mean, you can vote on the others and rely on that, but, you know, again, you need to remain consistent with what you do going forward, right? So just,
And I'm also concerned about the U.S. Elections Commission, whether or not they have a different point of view on a UCAVA voter.
Yeah.
Perhaps if we simply vote on Alvina separately,
yeah.
just to make it clear, since she's a Yocava voter.
I feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. Okay,
So
so to approve the council's recommendation as to Alvina Gumatauta.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to accept legal counsel's recommendation for
No, for the
Gumatauta
others.
Alvina.
For these?
Restate
No, no,
motion.
just for, oh, it was,
We want her vote to count, right, because she's Uokava?
Yeah, so he's making a motion, nobody's seconding it.
I'm just trying to, you said we need to vote one way or the other.
Yeah,
So I'm
so
trying to get a vote on Alvina. And you, what's your recommendation on her?
that the challenge is valid. And
Okay.
so what I'm hearing is that you're saying because she's Uokava,
To make it
you want
invalid.
to count.
We're gonna
right,
separate
you want
her.
to make it, yeah. You want to count her vote,
Yeah, deny the challenge.
deny.
Is that,
Wait.
is that, if there's no second, then the challenge is denied.
Correct.
So the motion fails, yeah.
Right.
So there's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
So the motion is to, but that one's to accept legal counsel's recommendation for Alvina Gumatauta.
Wait a minute.
Can I get a just clarification, Mr. Chair? So we're only separating her just to make it clear our decision, whatever it is. Right, it's that she's not grouped up because she's Uokava, right? So, but I just want to convey that. I just want to stay consistent.
Yes, I think the motion, the first motion should be for the commission to deny the challenge of Gumatauta Alvina. In other words, we're going to count her vote,
Okay,
Can do that.
I'll amend my motion.
right?
Move to
Right, isn't that
I mean, if that.
that'll be
I
the
mean,
motion
It sounds like that's what.
to separate her from the rest? So
I
we
think our
need-
motions have to be in the affirmative, and
Yeah.
then, if I was reading it correctly.
Motion in the affirmative.
And then it gets voted,
Okay.
Yeah,
It accomplishes the same thing. If you go with legal recommendation and you make a motion, nobody votes for it, it fails.
Okay,
There was a
so you
motion.
thoroughly confused. So I moved, I think from our discussion, it appears that we are carving out Alvina Gumatauta because she's a Uokava voter. And that our desire is to deny the challenge to her, if I understood that correctly. Maybe not,
Right.
maybe I'm wrong. So
Was-
well.
Sorry, I
you
would
tell me.
like to recommend, just so we stay consistent, if the motion could be to accept legal counsel's recommendation to find the challenge valid, and then we vote it however we vote it, but just that the motion stays the same.
Okay,
That was the
That's
first
your
motion.
original.
that was the first
that's
motion.
my original motion. I didn't say it as well as you did, frankly.
But that, yeah, that was the original motion.
So I will, if I can adopt Commissioner Orsini's phrasing.
That motion is to
Move-
accept legal counsel's
Move to
recommendation.
accept legal counsel's recommendation as to the challenge to Alvina Gumatauta.
Not specific. It's not specifically just the one name. The first motion was the whole thing.
No, we're just covering her out.
Only the first.
Oh,
We were gonna
we're not
separate them.
carving her.
Yeah, she's gonna be separate.
Yeah,
'Cause she's-
and then we'll vote next motion will be on the rest,
Oh,
because she's Yukawa, so we don't want to challenge her vote.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's,
So there's a motion.
So there's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Seville. Is there a second to that motion? This is just on Albina, Gumatao, right? Is there a second to the motion? No second? Okay, motion fails.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll entertain the motion for the remaining voters: Balbino Gumatauto, Diana Gumatauto, Francine Gumatauto, Ignacia Marie Gumatauto, and Victoria Regis Gumatauto, to accept legal counsel's recommendation to consider consider the challenge as ballot. Okay, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Seville. Is there a second to the motion? Second? The motion fails. Okay, we'll go to the next,
Okay, the next
sets.
one involves Jeremy Rojas, Teresa Gumatauta Rojas, and Francine Gumatauta. The challenge is they do not reside in Higanya, and in their rebuttals, they did admit they do not live in Higanya, they live in Talafofo. And although they make extensive arguments that they intend to eventually live in Higanya,
Sorry.
they currently reside in.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I heard you say Francine in the one we just voted,
No.
because I wrote it down. But then I heard legal counsel is mentioning now Francine.
Francine is with this next group.
yeah.
we're talking about Rojas and Rojas.
Yeah, we're down to the last three on.
But I heard the motion in the one we just did, Francine in there.
Yeah, so that should be, Francine should not be in the last motion.
Oh,
Francine
but
should be in this motion.
I heard her name. So do we need to amend our?
Yeah, I mean, if you want it for the record, yeah. So you would amend the motion. Well, yeah, I would amend it
Yeah, because she's listed on that motion.
because she's listed in the next section and not with the
Okay.
Okay.
prior section.
So, follow me, make sure, okay. So, Mr. Chair, move to approve council's recommendation as to Balbino Gumatautau, Deanna Gumatautau,
Makes sense.
not Francine, Ignacia Gumatautau, and Victoria Regis Gumatautau.
Okay, so there's a motion. Are we amending the original motion that was passed, or this is a new motion?
I would make a motion to amend the original one.
Because the
to
original motion
re-
had all of these Gumatautas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make a motion to amend your prior motion to remove Francine.
Okay, so Commissioner Seville is making a
Thank
motion
you,
to amend the
Commissioner
original
Orsini,
motion.
for catching that.
Can they restate the motion, please, sir?
Okay. My earlier motion included all of the Gumatautau that are listed in council's report on PE 010. And inadvertently included in there was Francine Gumatautau, who actually doesn't belong in that grouping. She belongs in the next grouping. So I'm moving to amend my earlier motion as follows. I move that we approve council's recommendation as to Balbino Gumatautau, Deanna Gumatautau, Ignacia Gumatautau, and Victoria Gumatautau. But Francine is not included in that grouping, to be clear.
And legal counsel's recommendation is to consider the complaint as valid,
Yes.
therefore removing the provisional ballot votes. Okay, is there a motion on
Second
that
motion to amend.
amendment? Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville, there's second by Commissioner Penala. Any further discussions on the motion? Yes,
Just to
Commissioner.
clarify, the motion, so our votes after this
To amend.
is to just amend our motion.
The original
And then we
motion.
move on to the actual merit of the motion, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
So second the amend, second
already
motion to
second.
amend.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, oppose?
Motion carries.
Okay,
Now, do we need a new motion then?
Now we need
Okay, so
the
new
overall motion.
is to adopt council's recommendation to approve the challenge as to Albino Gumatau, Deanna Gumatau, Ignacio Gumatau, and Victoria Gumatau.
Right. Okay, motion on the floor. This is the overall motion now. Your second? No second? Okay, motion fails.
Okay, the next one involve Jeremy Rojas, Teresa Victoria Gumatauta Rojas, and Francine MC Gumatauta. They do not reside in Hagåtña. They did submit rebuttals, and in their rebuttals, they admitted they live currently in Telefofo and have been doing so since 2007, 14, and 15 respectively. And they tie their connection to the property to their familial ties in Hagåtña. But again, the law says where you actually reside, and therefore we deem their votes invalid.
Okay, so they responded.
Move to adopt council's recommendation to approve the challenge.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville to accept council's recommendation approving the complaint as valid. Is there a second to the motion? Any second? Okay, motion fails.
Well, I mean, it's just, so you're setting precedent now.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we could maybe be clear on that, these folks, this really, if it's okay,
Sure.
and races, this really does fly in the face of commission precedent, where somebody admits that they live in one village and says, well, but I intend someday to move back to my home village or my birth village, village of my childhood. The commission is consistently, as far as I know, as far as I can recall, always said that that was not a valid excuse for, that didn't give you permission to vote in that village. You have to vote where you live.
And it
So-
flies in the face of the statute, because
Yeah.
if you don't do that, it renders the statute invalid.
Yeah. I agree with council on that one. Yes, Commissioner Garcia.
When I was reading the letter, right, and just from my recollection in the past, when GEC did consider these matters, I remember they considered the intention to return, right? And I do see that in the letters. They mentioned that they have an intention to return. But with the mention of probate, I'm wondering, is it the reason why they haven't returned is because it's under probate? I don't know. It still leaves some questions for me.
I just would caution the commission to tread very lightly on this, because this is a major precedent change. Because they admit that they do not live in Hagåtña.
It's basically opening a Pandora's box with
You are
so
opening
many
up-
other villages that would do the exact same thing.
You are opening up,
Can we call for the vote again?
So please bear in mind what council is recommending here is that the challenge to the voter is valid. Because the person, and in this case, this person rebutted saying, I don't live in Hagåtña. That's the main thing, period. I really don't care whether he intends to come back to Hagåtña. The issue is, right now, he's not in Hagåtña residing there. That's the issue. Yes, and if we fail that one, we're opening the door, I'm afraid, we're setting ourselves up to be sued here. So, just bear that in mind, that we have 19 villages, and they're going to do exact same thing, because it's a mayoral race now. They're going to have everybody coming and register in their own villages that don't live there, because we set the precedents, allowing them to do this.
But there is a law that we are following.
The law says you have to reside in the village that you live.
Residents.
Yeah.
So that's,
Not where your heart is, and not where you intend to go back to. It's where are you at today, living physically. Yeah. And I think that's the hard stance that we have taken in the past, and I don't like the fact that we're going to be allowing some leeway here. There is no leeway. You either live in that village and you vote there, or you don't, period. There's no such thing as my heart is in wherever. That's baloney. Okay, so Benny had asked to restate the motion, and I would like to have, Pat, if you can restate the motion again.
Okay. The motion is this, please, is that with respect to, on PE 10, the challenges to the votes of Jeremy Rojas, Teresa Victoria Gumatao Rojas, and Jared
Francine.
Leon Guerrero and Francine Gumatao, that we approve council's recommendation or adopt council's recommendation to approve the challenge.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville to accept.
Yeah, he's a separate batch.
He's the other.
I thought he was in the same group.
No,
No,
he's
no,
in
no.
his own group.
Okay,
That's a
Mr.
different-
Leon
that's
Guerrero's in his
separate.
own group. So
Thank you, Ms.
before anybody votes, I amend it to delete Mr. Leon Guerrero. So it'll be Francine Gumatao, Jeremy Rojas, and Teresa Victoria Gumatao Rojas.
Second.
Okay, second by Commissioner Pinala. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? 1 nay? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. Okay.
Okay, the last one is no evidentiary support for residents, and that is the complainant alleged that Jared F. Leon Guerrero, purportedly a resident of Maimai, Chalampago, used the address 110 Apartment K, Nelson Drive in Hagåtña to register for voting. However, in Mr. Leon Guerrero's 2021 affidavit of registration identifies his residency as Manilao. Mr. Leon Guerrero has failed to provide a rebuttal or any additional evidence to demonstrate that he has resided at the Nelson Drive address for more than 30 days or establish a permanent dwelling at this address as required by law, and therefore we recommend the challenge is justified.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt council's recommendation that the challenge as to Jared F. Leon Guerrero be approved.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Seville to accept legal counsel's recommendation that the challenge for Jared Leon Guerrero is valid. Second by Commissioner Pinala. Any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? 2 nays and 3 ayes? Okay, the ayes have it.
Okay, we move on. PE 011, the complainant is Johnson Augustine. The respondent is Linda D. Gumatao. And again, this is similar to what we discussed earlier. The use of 546 West Marine Corps Drive in Hagåtña is a business address. And there's no additional rebuttal. And the respondent did not clarify but only stated that her her voter registration is in Hagåtña.
Mr. Chair, move to approve the recommendation of council that the challenge to Linda D. Gumatau be approved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville. There's a second by Commissioner Penala. Any further discussions on that motion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 2 nays, ayes. Can we take a hand vote then? All those in favor say aye, or raise your hand, I'm sorry. Okay, all those opposed? Okay, the motion fails then. Okay, PE 12.
PE 012, the complainant is Jolina Mason Augustine, and the respondent is Alvin Gumatau. For the same reason, 546 West Marine Corps Drive. The respondent's rebuttal did not clarify at this point, only stated that he was a registered voter in Hagåtña. And so we deem the challenge to be valid.
Mr. Chair, move to adopt council's recommendation that the challenge to Alvin Gumatau and PE 012 be approved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville to accept legal counsel's recommendation that the challenge is valid. There's second by Commissioner Penala. Any further discussions? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Okay, looks like the nays have it, the motion fails.
Okay, the next one.
Sir,
Yes.
can we know the nays, the votes?
It was 3 nays
Three.
and
Okay.
2
Thank you.
ayes, and none voting.
Abstained. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Could you tie it so I can vote? So every time I could vote. Okay, we'll go to the next complaint.
Okay, the next one is PE 013. The complainant is Elizabeth Leon Guerrero, and the respondent is Arthur R. Barcenas. So at the precinct level, the board ruled in favor of the challengee, which is Arthur Barcenas, and determined that after confirming that he does in fact live in Mauricio, they allowed him to vote. So there's no further action required because his vote, they allowed him to vote.
Okay. Okay, any,
Mr. Chair, move to adopt council's recommendation as to denying the challenge to Arthur R. Barcenas.
okay, there's a motion by Commissioner Seville to accept legal counsel's recommendation denying the challenge. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Orsini. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Ayes have it.
The next one is PE 014, and the complainant is Elizabeth V. Guerrero. The respondent is Michael J. Barcenas. Again, alleging that Michael J. Barcenas is not a resident of Mauricio. Mr. Barcenas was notified and did not, the board concluded at the precinct that they did not have sufficient evidence to confirm whether he was a resident of Mauricio, so they allowed him to vote provisional. And so you need to determine whether the challenge is valid and whether his provisional vote will count or not. So in this case, so generally the process is if there's a challenge at the precinct board will determine whether they have can substantiate whether the challenge and determine whether the voter will be allowed to vote like they did in Arthur Barcenas or given a provisional ballot to vote. So this voter was given a provisional ballot, and so now you need to make the determination whether his provisional ballot would count.
Okay, and is there a recommendation?
Yeah, the recommendation is that the challenge was justified because the board couldn't determine whether he was a resident, and he never responded adequately to provide a rebuttal as to the challenge, so we would deem that justifiable,
The complaint to be justified,
the challenge to be valid.
to be valid.
May I ask, when you say did not respond adequately, did he respond at all?
No.
No response?
No.
No
But-
response? Okay.
But we acknowledge that he received the complaint.
We sent an email out. We were able to contact them, get their email addresses, and notify them that there was a challenge and to please respond to the email.
Okay. Mr. Chair, move to accept or to adopt council's recommendation that the challenge be accepted.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville to accept the recommendation by council that the complaint is valid. Second by Commissioner Gumatauta. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? One nay, abstain? Okay, the ayes have it. It's three ayes and one nay.
Okay, we move on. The next one is PE 015, and the complainant is Elizabeth B. Guerrero. The respondent is Michael J.A. Barcenas. The challenge, again, is the same, that the respondent does not live in Mauricio. In this case, again, it went before the precinct board, and the precinct board concluded that there is insufficient evidence to confirm whether the respondent resides in Mauricio. And legal counsel concurs. Therefore, the respondent's rebuttal failed to provide necessary details or proof to establish residency in Mauricio as required. Consequently, the complainant's challenge under 3 GCA 9118D is justified.
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
So, for all, right, the two previous ones we voted on in Mauricio and this one right now, does their address show Mauricio? Or does,
Thank you.
They ought to provide. Residents.
June 24th, June 2024, their AOR shows Melissa.
did we check DMV? Does that also match up, Malasu?
On the driver's license, it's showing mailing at, oh, sorry, wrong name. We have to check with DMV. But the most recent we have, and it's an AOR, was 2024.
The address of P.O. Box, or is it a?
PO Box, the mailing address is Agate, the residence address is Melissa.
Melissa?
And I'm sorry, that's for PE 14 or 15?
14.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, sorry, 15.
15.
That's for Michael?
Yeah, they're both
Michael J.
Michaels.
'cause
Michael
there's two.
J.
So Michael J. and that's Michael J.A.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me verify.
How about for Arthur?
Michael J. that was for Michael J.
I'm sorry, could we just also verify for, I mean, it's apparent that it's the same family. Could we find out what's the address for Arthur R. Barcenas?
Yes, we can, but we don't have his AOR here because we can get it.
Yeah, we don't have the AOR because he was approved to vote
He was approved to vote, so.
at the
there was-
precinct because I guess the people know he lives there in Mauricio. So these other individuals, the board denied them a regular ballot, but allowed them to vote provisional because they could not confirm with the individual. So the board actually spoke to the individual and tried to have the individual prove that they lived in Mauricio. And the board denied it because they did not believe there was substantial information that says he lived in Mauricio.
Mr. Chair, if I could suggest if we could table for a moment 14, 15, and 16 and go on to, those are the Barcenas challenges while we get additional information.
Are we,
And,
we're getting the address for these?
yeah, and then come back to that.
We did already vote on 14, though.
Yeah, we voted on 14.
We voted on 14. 15 and 16 is the one.
And if this is the same family as my colleague says, it also affects 13.
No.
Or
you
does
have-
it?
You cannot do that. The law specifically says
These are all specific.
every individual you have to assess separately. So just because we as a family unit share the same address doesn't mean I live with you. And so you have to do, and the law is specific about that. Every individual, you can't even use the spouse and say my spouse lives here, so I live there. You cannot make that determination. So just,
So are we reconsidering 14?
Well, we already voted on 14, but I think we're trying to validate the address.
Maybe we should just wait.
So we can hold on Michael J.A. and
Jay.
Roman.
Romana Barcenas until we get the
I-
address.
I would, I would motion that we reconsider our actions on 14 because, I feel it's the same as this one, 15, that we don't have sufficient information. I mean, that's why I voted no on 14. So if we're holding out for more information on 15, I think we should have done the same on 14.
It was almost the same thing. Yeah, yeah, we did vote on 14. Yeah, it's passed. Yeah.
the burden of proof is not on you.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
It's the challengee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we already voted on 14. If we're applying this, if we're waiting for more information for 15, that's almost the same.
I'm going to make the motion because I feel it's the same situation. We don't have enough information, such as address on DMV. So I'm going to make the motion. It's only fair, in my opinion, if we're going to hold off on 15 and 16, to reconsider the commission's actions
On
and
14.
do a new motion for 14, PE-014.
Yeah, because they're each separate.
First, we have to undo what we just agreed on for 14.
I think we need to be very careful because it appears like we're shifting the burden to the commission to prove that these people are where they say they should vote. That's not true. The commission shall not register them if they do not provide substantial evidence to show that they are a resident. That's what the law says. And so when you shift the burden to you, now you are taking the liability. So when you register a person, the commission, that person who is signing that document under penalty of perjury, it needs to provide substantial proof that they reside in that area to whoever's registering them. And that's why it's under penalty of perjury and that the commission follows what they say. When we start to say that the commission needs to prove something, we're switching the burden of proof, and that's not what the law says. So I'm just putting that out there.
Mr. Chairman, I also think that, given the fact that we've given the individual an opportunity to rebut and they don't rebut is on them. The burden is on them, not on the commission.
Yeah, I think if you look at 9123A, it says the commission must not register any applicant who fails to provide sufficient information to determine residency. And so, as Commissioner Pinala said, they were given the opportunity to rebut and provide sufficient information. So they were allowed to vote provisional. Now the question is, and as a matter of fact, so they've gone through even one layer of attempts to prove, and that's to the precinct board. And the precinct board determined they were not satisfied with what information that they provided, and that's why they only allowed them to vote provisional.
Provisional, yeah. Okay. Commissioner Singh?
I have this, with me, I disagree still, right? I'm a commissioner and I take it very seriously. If I invalidate somebody's vote, I think I am more so accountable and answerable to the voters. So, did the precinct board ask then and there for this person's power bill? I mean, how did they determine that? That's my, concern. Of course, somebody's not going to walk around with their power bill.
Mr.
No,
Chairman,
and that's why they allowed them to vote provisional, because you can't deny someone to vote. But then, under the provisional voting, the voter has so many days to justify their vote. And these guys didn't do that. So not only did you allow them to cast a provisional ballot, but you gave them extra time to prove beyond what the board did on the day of the election. So now you're setting a higher standard for challenges, which is not what the law calls for. That's my only concern.
Mr. Chairman, just to add to that, the commission doesn't invalidate anybody's vote. That's not our role. If they want to, they can have rebutted, but they chose not to. If they invalidate their own vote, that's on them, not on the commission. You give them the opportunity to rebut, come back with any type of proof, any type of evidence, the commission will accept that. But we don't invalidate anybody's vote. The voter invalidates their own vote, not us.
Yeah, that's why there's the provisional.
Mr. Chair, so my motion that I made that was not addressed was to reconsider PE 014.
So you made a motion to reconsider the motion that was originally adopted.
Yes, for PE-014 regarding Michael J. Barcenas.
Okay, and that motion that was passed accepted the legal counsel's recommendation. So there's a motion to reconsider made by Commissioner Orsini. Is there a second to that motion? This is a PE 014. A second to the motion to reconsider. Okay, no second, so the motion fails.
So are we going to wait for 15 and 16? It's the same situation? I'm not sure what other additional information the commission can provide, but we can move on to 17.
No,
Mr. Chair, this is what I'm saying. It's unfair for waiting for additional information for 15 and 16. We made a determination on 13, 14. If we're not going to do that, then let's address 15 and 16.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I want to address 15 and 16. I'm not sure what we're waiting for, 15 and 16.
exactly. We're
Let's
not
just
here to
move on.
register
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah. So is there a motion to accept council's recommendation on PE 15, which is
Mr. Chair.
accepting the challenge that is valid? So moved by Commissioner Seville, second by Commissioner Pinaula. So further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those oppose? 2 nays and 2 ayes? Or maybe raise your hands. All those in favor, raise your hands. All those opposed? 3 to 2, and 1 not voting.
Okay, so
So the motion.
you've just conflicted yourself out.
Yeah, we just conflicted ourselves to that P1.
You voted yes for 14 and no for 15.
That is, yes,
So that's a big concern.
be prepared.
Yeah. Okay.
I would advise you to do something.
Mr. Chairman, I
Because you
think
have
we
two
need to be
individuals who
consistent.
have different outcomes.
Yeah, I mean, they're exact same case.
Exact same case.
Yeah. So,
Well, Mr. Chair, you are not voting?
I vote, there's a tie, so,
That, Mr. Chair, that's simply not true. It's not, this is a small commission. The Robert Rules of Evidence, where that the chair only votes last to break a tie, is not true. In the early years when I served on this commission, actually it was the independent voter who would be the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
Because, for obvious reasons, because the parties would vote and then the independent would vote if needed.
right.
But, yeah, I think there is, I mean, there is no rationale under Robert's rules that would alleviate you of the duty to vote, I can respectfully suggest.
I mean, I think I brought this up, right? And I questioned. And, you know, we've had a couple times where this is where we're not consistent because he wasn't able to vote in times we made decisions since I've been here since January, February. So, I mean, now we're going to allow the chairman to vote?
I don't think it's a matter of allowing. I think the chairman's always had the right to vote. There's been this notion that on large boards, Robert's rule says that the chairman, you know, he doesn't vote until, or doesn't vote or votes last if it's a tiebreaker. But that simply doesn't apply to small boards. And it hasn't really come up very often.
No.
But I think the chair, you know, it's 3 Democrats, 3 Republicans, an independent, and fortunately, we very rarely vote on, you guys, I should say, not we, you guys, very rarely vote on party lines, so.
I agree with, you know, Commissioner Seville, but my thing is we've operated where decisions were made since I've been here, since January, where, you know, his vote would have affected it or not. So I remember I did bring it up at several meetings ago. So my concern is we're not consistent again regarding this, you know, this issue now with voting.
Has there been, I can't recall any single, okay, you know, you have a better memory than I do. I just can't remember any single controversial vote we've taken forever and ever, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't recall at least the previous chair, whether they voted or not on any, right? And
So I know since I've been here, the practice is the chair would not vote unless there was a tie, but there has never been that issue. The issue, I believe, came up when there was only 4 of you.
a quorum issue.
The quorum issue and whether you could vote when there was only 4. And yes, I said you can vote there because your vote is required as part of the quorum. But we've never really, from my experience in the past, the chair has not voted unless there was a tie, which that was never an issue. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
That is a very recent vintage,
I remember
relatively recent vintage.
yeah, I remember Alice, which
Yeah.
was chair, she wasn't voting on
Yeah.
issues. That's the cue that I took. But again, we're back to this 015 that conflicts with what we just voted for in 014.
It's going to open up the commission.
And whether
For legal challenges, it will open up the commission.
but we need to resolve that because it's a conflict before we move on to the next.
Well,
Should-
I would hope we could do it as a unified body. It's really important that the public understand what the rules are and that those rules will be enforced.
Yeah.
If there is a division of thought on this, then I submit, Mr. Chair, that you need to vote. That we can't let it go by, it's not a tie. where the board has to make a decision and, yeah.
Mr. Chair, can I recommend just a recess for 5 minutes? Maybe we just need to refresh and,
Sure.
and,
Excellent
you know,
idea.
thank you.
Excellent.
So we'll
idea.
recess for just 5 minutes. We were on PE 15, right?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to rescind the board's action regarding reference number PE-015.
Based on
Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead and explain.
so there was an entry of challenge, and in the entry of challenge, the challenge was listed as Michael Jared Barcenas. In his rebuttal, he wrote his name as Michael J.A. Barcenas. Hence, that's the mix-up, whether it's one person or two persons, or two different individuals. But we found out, we've confirmed that in our voter registry and in DMV, there's only one person with Michael J.A. Barcenas.
So we're talking about the same
Yes.
voter.
Mr. Chairman, I second that motion from Commissioner Meno.
Okay, so the motion by Commissioner Joe Mena to withdraw complaint PE 015, seconded by Commissioner Panaula. Any further discussions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Ayes have it. Okay, let's go to PE 16. It's almost the same. Okay.
So PE-016. The complainant was Paul Salas, and the respondent was Romana Barcenas. And it was a challenge with regard to residency in Mauricio. So in this instance, although the respondent's 2024 AOR lists her residence as 1127 Chalantasi 7 Heroes, Mauricio, her driver's license shows a Santa Rita address. Her rebuttal letter on August 12th does not clearly confirm her residency in Mauricio. She mentions owning 2 properties in Mauricio and intentions to make Mauricio their main home since September 2023, with utilities in her husband's name at this address. She also notes a house in Santa Rita now is given to her son, suggesting a possible move to Mauricio. However, she fails to confirm the definitive move from Santa Rita to Mauricio, and consequently, the respondent has not provided adequate evidence of residency as required by 9123, and thus the complainant's challenge under 3 GCA 9118D is valid. And therefore, we recommend that the complainant's challenge is appropriate and upheld due to insufficient proof of residency.
Is there a motion to accept the legal counsel's recommendation that the complaint is valid for PE 016? Moved by Commissioner Gamatauta,
Second.
second by Commissioner Panaula. Any further discussions? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Any abstentions? There are 3 ayes, one abstention, 2 non-voting. The ayes have it.
You need 454.
We go to PE 017.
Okay, so the next one, PE 017, the complainant is Paul Salas. The respondent is Ron Ekfaji. Again, the complainant alleges that the respondent illegally voted at Precinct 7 despite not being a resident of Mauricio. And in this case, the respondent's motor voter AOR in 2020 and driver's license showed that the respondent was a resident of Tamuning. The respondent did not provide a rebuttal or any further information supporting the establishment of a permanent dwelling for more than 30 days in Mauricio. As such, the respondent has not provided sufficient evidence in establishing residency under 9123A, and the complainant's challenge under 3 GCA 9118D is valid. And therefore, we recommend the complainant's challenge as valid and remove the vote.
Mr. Chair, move to adopt the recommendation of council.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville to accept legal counsel's recommendation. The challenge is valid. A second by Commissioner Meno. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Raise your right hand.
It's unanimous. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Ayes have it.
Okay, the next one is PE 018. There was a complaint filed by Ivan C. Gumatautau, which complained that he observed inappropriate electioneering or campaigning too close to the polls. However, the complainant did not provide any reasons in the complaint or details to support his allegations. As such, there's no basis for the commission to investigate or determine the truth of the complainant's allegations. Therefore, we recommend the commission dismiss this complaint as insufficient.
Mr. Chair, move to adopt council's recommendation that the complaint in PE 018 be dismissed.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Seville made a motion to accept legal counsel's recommendation to dismiss, seconded by Commissioner Orsini. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? Ayes have it. PE 019.
Next one is PE 019, and the complainant in this case is Alicia R. Gumatautau. She complained and reported to the Guam Election Commission that she observed improper electioneering or campaigning too close to the polling sites. However, the complainant did not provide any reasons or details to support her allegations. As such, there is no basis for the commission to investigate or determine the truth of the complainant's allegations. Therefore, we recommend the commission dismiss the complaint as insufficient.
Mr. Chair, move to adopt council's recommendation that the complaint be dismissed.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Seville, seconded by Commissioner Orsini. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? Ayes have it.
Mr. Chair, the next and final complaint is PE 020, and the complainant is Elizabeth Leon Guerrero. However, after filing her complaint, she withdrew her complaint to the Guam Election Commission, and the blank side of her name was the complaint was left blank aside from her name on the complaint. So we recommend, there's really nothing to do here because there was no.
She withdrew it.
She withdrew her complaint.
Okay.
Do we address all of them? Okay.
Maria? Yeah.
So, Mr. Chair, may I ask the status of their registration? The ones that, what do we do with their voter registration now? Do we transfer them? Do we take them off the list?
They would just have to register in the proper district for the general.
Okay.
So they wouldn't be removed. Well, for those that are provisional, they're not on the list anyway. So we would just ask them to register in the village in which they appropriately reside. And those that are on the register, you would also ask them to, their vote won't count, but then you need to ask them to register in the village that they reside in, or the district they reside
Okay.
in.
So can we do that before the general or after the general?
Well, you cannot transfer,
Right.
right? So in essence, when someone's vote or registration is invalid because they're not in the proper residence, they're no longer registered. So they can re-register
Re-register.
for the general,
Okay.
right? You can't transfer, but you can re-register because they're no longer registered once you guys made the determination that they're not in the correct village.
So what about those motions that failed
Their votes count, and if they're on the register, they're on the register.
in Hagåtña? Is that correct?
Yeah, because you count them. If you count
Yeah,
them in
the-
Hagåtña, they're
If-
Those motions fail to accept the,
So those provisional ballots will
Ballot.
count? Okay,
yeah. Yeah.
got it?
Okay. Administrative complaints, or is that?
that
What's
was
that?
everything.
Okay. Tabulation of the write-in votes.
You're not going to read this.
Yes, we're gonna read all 600 names. unless you say not to. So we went through all of the write-ins. No one qualified for the required 750 votes required to move on to the general election. So we have a list of every iteration that was presented during the write-in. Do you have any questions with regard to that? Yes, Commissioner Meno.
Mr. Ligo, based on this list that you provided, and you stipulated that none of the write-ins have met the 750 required votes.
Yes.
Therefore, I motion that the names not be read out. And that,
It'll be reported out.
I second.
yeah, to record it out. Yeah, right.
I thought you wanted to kumbaya.
First, second, third.
I didn't entertain a motion yet.
Sorry.
Okay, so,
But do you have any questions that, with regard to the report that you received?
The only question I have was that, did any of the candidates, the writing candidates, meet them?
And
if
not even if we were generous with just something very close.
Right.
And so I think the closest was 608, and that was Sarah.
Sarah.
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Ligo and GEC staff, but I motion to
So there's a
Second.
motion.
accept the.
State
as
your motion?
is. I motion that we accept as provided the list, and there's no need to,
Yeah, because we were ready to go through each one.
oh, thank you for doing that, but we're good.
I mean, and the law requires us to count these write-ins, right?
Well, to publish.
I mean,
So
or publish.
it will be published.
So it will be published, yeah. Okay, so the motion by Commissioner Meno to accept the write-in votes as presented. Second by Commissioner Penala. Any further discussions? All those in favor, say aye. Oppose, abstain? The ayes have it. Okay, that was
Thank
very
you.
easy. And we are tabling D, E, F, and G, right? And moving on to old business, Maria Campaign Finance Committee? None?
Report, sir.
Okay, item B, modernization of the election process.
None to report, sir.
Okay, let's move on to new business, which is the first order is the ratification of the 2024 general election candidates.
Do we have a copy for them? Okay, there's a copy for you.
Yeah.
This one. Okay. Yeah. Mr. Chairman and GEC Commissioners, pursuant to 1 GCA Section 1903 and 3 GCA Section 6110, and based on their filing with the Guam Election Commission for the 2024 general election, the following candidate for public auditor has met the requirement. Cruz Benjamin J.F. Pursuant to 17 GCA Section 3102.3B and 3 GCA Section 6110, and based on their filing with the Guam Election Commission for the 2024 general election, the following candidates for the Guam Education Board have met the requirements. Ada Peter Alexis Diaz, Guthertz Dr. Judith Paulette, Gutierrez Maria Atalik, McNinch Ronald Lewis, Okada Mary A.Y., Sablon Angel Regis. Pursuant to 12 GCA Section 79101 and 3 GCA Section 6110, and based on their filing with the Guam Election Commission for the 2024 general election, the following candidates for the Consolidated Commission on Utilities have met the requirements. Ada Charles H. II, Blas Nonito Vincent, Cepeda Evangeline Marie, Duenas Melvin F., and Martinez Pedro Roy.
Okay, I entertain a motion to accept and ratify these are the nonpartisan ballots, right? For
Mr.
the Guam
Chair?
Education and the Consolidated Commission on Utilities? Yes.
Just to clarify, I'm looking at the list of people who filed. I just want to just be sure the candidate or the person who picked up a packet, Ronald Azuzu, he didn't qualify.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, is there a motion on the floor to accept? Right. Moved by Commissioner Penala, second by Commissioner Orsini. Any further discussions? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Abstain? The ayes have it. Okay, we'll move on to the 2024 general election ballot design. I think there's a sample here, right?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, the draft ballot design is on your desk, on your tables.
My biggest concern about this draft design is the write-ins. If we look at how people wrote the names, this is not enough space. And if we're gonna have to do what we did, that spent an entire day going through every write-in, we're gonna have to look at every ballot because people are gonna write outside the lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unless you want to sit with us after the general to go through the same process for the write-ins, it was very painful. Only because if we couldn't read the exact, because people wrote large outside the line, we would have to actually pull up the ballot to validate what the name was. And so I'm just looking at how small this is.
Yeah.
I could barely write Camacho in this space,
Mr.
right?
Chair.
So it may something to consider. Otherwise, if we do get a lot of write-ins, it's going to take time to review.
We
Oh, yeah?
can, yes, Mr. Chair, we can move the titles. We hope we can move the titles up to the top of each section. So like the Guam legislature, we can just move it up and then put 2 write-ins after Angela Santos and put 2 more write-ins after Shelley Cavo. Please note that the names are not in any order. We just put them in for placement. So we can do that for all of them on this page, if that's the only concern. And we can present this again on Friday's meeting. And we can present another ballot design for you, so we can table this until we give you another one.
In the primary ballot, we added how many write-in lines? I know we extended it, right?
We added
4.
no,
You had 6 altogether.
6
6 altogether.
on the Democrat and, yeah,
Yeah, there's 2 and 1.
yeah,
It was, we
Three.
added 3.
yeah, to make it 17.
But I think the reason why we want it like this is because it's one ballot.
1 ballot, yeah.
We don't want to have to,
Yeah.
and so this is partisan, nonpartisan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can squeeze it, otherwise I'm afraid that we're going to be, unless the parties don't have write-ins.
Commissioner
So-
Orsini, yeah.
Yeah, my only concern here is
Vice
like
Chair.
what the legal was saying, if we don't have enough space for write-in, we're gonna be there for 2 days, that's counting all those write-in, because they're gonna write in, and especially if there's no oval and all that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, there
So,
has to be an oval.
yes, but if there's
it's the
none, and they're
space
gonna
to
be a
write.
write-in. Because look at that we encountered during the primary.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
figuring it'll be almost the same number of write-in.
So, Mr. Chair, the write-in, right, if I gather what Maria said, we're able to move, instead of this column, we're able to put the write-in under Democrat, under Republican?
We can.
Okay, just because it looks like there is sufficient space, there's some space here that we can,
But then
right?
what if you have a write-in that's a nonpartisan? Because the primary is partisan. But if you have somebody that's an independent that wants to be written in, I mean, I just think that space is insufficient.
So the write-ins on the back are okay, right? Because they're part of the column. But on the partisan side, that's where the,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but if we, Mr. Chair, if we move the first column where the titles are
legislature.
Guam legislature, non-voting, et cetera, if we get rid of that column and we make it 3 columns, is the placement of the write-in on the right okay? Because it will be a bigger column.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, I think it should be equal to the partisan
Right.
spaces.
So is it okay that the write-ins are on a 3rd column instead of under the Republican and the Democrat?
I think it's okay if it fits and people can write.
Yes.
As long as there's space.
Are-
Because
are you
at the end
okay?
of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat if you're a write-in, because we're going to count it as a write-in, and then they're going to declare
They'll
what they
declare
are, right?
whether-
Is that
Yeah.
okay?
So,
I just, you know, for Pat's party, I want to be fair that there are a lot of independents out there, and they should have a say here.
So just so long, we'll keep it on the 3rd column, just so long as we have equal space
Yeah.
for the 3, the Democrat, the Republican, and Pat's party.
yeah.
Okay.
And every other party.
The write-in party. And then on the, I know it's just a stroke on the president's ballot, but who are, besides the 2 partisan, are there other third parties that we put it here, or is it, who's this American Solidarity?
He's the only one that asked. All the other ones were just inquiring as to how to get on the ballot. He's the only one that asked to get on the ballot.
Curiosity, is that all you have to do is ask? Pretty much, yeah, okay.
You want to put your name on?
No, no.
Just one, isn't there an independent running for president too?
Yeah, RFK.
No, I just want to be, you know, just, if that's the case, then I guess he should
Colonel?
be in here too.
And
He
he's,
hasn't asked.
Yeah, oh, he has to be put on. He's got to ask?
He hasn't asked. He has not asked. September 1st, I believe.
So there's no space for writing in case they write his name in?
Not for president.
Oh, okay, I just want, because for sure, somebody's going to write in.
Put Pat's name.
yeah,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Commissioner.
why is there not a write-in for Education Board?
By law.
Yeah, by law.
And just to clarify, so the write-ins are not going to be at the bottom of the Democrat Republican candidates. They're going to be on the side,
On the
right?
side, yeah.
And we're just moving these titles to the top.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
and that's to provide the write-in space.
And it's still just going to be 2.
Is it 2 or is it as many as?
However many you want, but I can tell you, the people that filled in all 6, like on the Democrat side, wrote people who was they already voted for at the top. So I don't know if they thought that they were going to get trouble.
Yeah, we'll,
But that's what we were seeing. You put too many. There's nothing in the law that says how many.
I think 2 is just too little for write-in. 4 or even 6. Especially if they're going to have that whole column equal to the 2.
What's the?
so, Mr. Chair, so Maria, yeah, so you're going to give us a rough draft by Friday? How it's going to look, and then we can look at it, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hopefully you can approve
okay.
the one on Friday. But please let me know how many write-ins you
Can
want.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I think under like the Democrat, Republican parties, just do the write-in, don't put a write-in as a separate column.
But the point is, you may have people that are not Republican or Democrat.
Independent.
Pat's party.
I know, there's a few in every good family.
Rather than just write-in, just put independent.
We're just assuming that everybody is either Republican or Democrat. That's not a good, it's not a fair way to do it, so. Let's look at the ballot, the way you have revised it.
I like Pat's suggestion of 4. I'd support 4. I think
4?
that's fair.
Okay.
All beefs are rather.
Yeah, so maybe, let's look at 4. Yeah, and then we just visualize to see how it looks like, yeah. 4 is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. When do ballots have to be sent to Yucaba? The latest? Okay. Okay. Any further discussion on the ballot? Okay, moving on then to public comments. We'd like to invite the public for public participation. Just have a seat and state your name.
I'll sit down. Good evening, sir. My name is John San Augustine, the husband of Jovi San Augustine that ran for mayor of Agutnia. Comments. You guys done a great job, outstanding job. The director, chairman, Miss President there, Mr. Mafnes, the lawyer, Mr. Paulino. My comment is documentation. We document everything to the fact, to the utmost, that voters of Agutnia, the voters for Agutnia that voted in Agutnia does not reside in Agutnia. Going back to the sir here, the gentleman here, we are not the investigators, we are not the policemen. That is correct. But to prove my point, is that they're not a resident of Agutnia. The proof I have is we know where they live. How do we know where they live? We did our research. See, in order to win this case, of any cases, especially this, we have our proof. Was it presented here in this board chairman? No. It's not. We didn't present it. We have the proof. We have the proof. Those names that you approve that they can register, that they can vote, they count their votes, I don't think so. That is your vote. This is my opinion. Opinion is only my opinion. My opinion is correct. We did, like I said, we did our research. It's not only my wife that went out. I went out also in the middle of the night, 2:45, 2:30, and the other one's 2:45. Did I see anybody in that place? No. Did I see the grass being cut? Yes. I have a land myself. I maintain the land. I don't live there. I have a land. There's a house there. It's abandoned. It broke down. I maintain the land. Yes, of course, I do maintain the land. Why? I don't want the grass to be this high because it's unsat. It's unsat for public view. My next one is due respect. We have the proof that these people do not belong in Agutnia. It hurts Agutnia that they vote for Agutnia, but they do not live here. It hurts Agutnia people that they voted in Agutnia because why? Oh, I love Agutnia because I know the guy. Oh, I love Agutnia because I know the lady. No. My wife, Mrs. San Augustine, ran a clean vote, clean process. There are times that I come up here to the Guam Election Commission and ask questions with her. I believe they weren't tired of us. They were outstanding. Customer service, outstanding, period. Outstanding. What we asked, we got. Dumb questions we ask, we got an answer. If they cannot answer it, they'll go to the director, and the director comes up, which is outstanding. You guys did a good job. My point is, we're not finished. My point is, you guys made a big mistake. Mr. Crisostomo, you're open, like he said, we are opening up a can of worms for every people out there to do the same thing. Okay? Your lawyer says, come on now, you're opening up a can of worms. Maybe he didn't say that, but he said something similar to that. All right? But we're not finished yet. I'm sorry. We are not finished. My heart, we did our research. He did his research. Did the client's rebuttal. Only one person rebuttal, Mrs. Rojas. And Mr. Rojas, if I'm not mistaken, that's the name. Some of them did not rebuttal. Why? Because they know already they are just guilty. If I live in Agana, I will prove that I live in Agana. I will prove that I live in Agana. They know very well they do not live in Agana. They do not live in Agana. There's more people on this list that do not live in Agana, but we cannot go through every single one of it. There's a lot of them. I mean, a lot. I was a poll watcher. I went through these names. I look at my names. What we did the research. We did the research in the affidavit to the public view. It's public access, period. We bounced everybody, say, hey, we don't know this guy. He doesn't live down here. My point is, sir, is they don't live down here. We have the proof. We have the pictures. We have friends. We have friends in their villages or people that know that they live in that village. There are people that know that they don't live in Agana, they live in Talvovo. They live in Barrigada. Who was it? My Aina. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. Using wrong information, Franquez Agana. There's no This lady is born and raised in Agana. I married her 40 years. I was in 30 years in Agana. She knows more people than I do. We passed by that house that's 465, if I'm not mistaken, 8 people. Now give me a break. Due respect. 8 people live in the house. Think about it. Did you ask the person that lives there? Did you do your research? I don't know. Did I do my research? My family did research? Yes, we did. We go by there. We just live 3 houses away. Boom, boom, boom. I do my jogging at 4 o'clock in the morning. Do I see that person that's supposed to be living there? Yes, he comes there at 9 o'clock. He's gone. Every other day I go walking. He's gone. You're correct. He has to be a resident of Agana. 30 days, am I correct? What is 30 days? Consecutive 30 days or exactly full amount 30 days? All I'm saying is, I'm glad that I did a comment on this, and I hope everybody can open up their eyes now. Agana is getting strict. They got voters there and they're not supposed to be there. They're going to think twice. Oh, I'm not going to vote I'm going to go back to my village and vote and support my village. Vote for your village. Crisostomo, Mr. Crisostomo, you are right. Go to your village and vote for your village and help your village. Not from Marisu or Sinohanyo or Jonya Jigo voted down for Agana because I know the guy. No, because I have a heart for Agana. No. You belong in a village, you vote in a village by law. By law. Chapter 9, 9, 8, 11, Delta. I wrote that, I got tired of writing that down. I was the poll watcher. I got tired of writing it down. But there's more names. After that, they gave me that stack. They gave me more stack to write. But I'm going to appeal for this. Yes, the votes are counted by law, by your votes. Yes, it's accounted for. It's accounted for. But we're still going to appeal. Because why? They don't live in Agana, and they're not helping Agana. Those people are not from Agana. And I will appeal this. Mr. Penala knows, he was my deputy director, followed the protocol. Documentation, documentation. If you do not document, it never existed. And he knows that. He is my director. Cristostomo, you're a longtime resident of Bargada. I don't know where you're at now. I know where you live. I know where you live. I don't know you. I don't know you. Those people. Where do they vote? In their village. Why? Because you guys are putting a good example to us that you are voting in your village. That is the best example for us. In reality, sir, like Mrs. Pangilinan said, the director, everybody does it. Everybody does the illegal stuff. But Agana, we're going to put our feet down. Wake up, everybody. It's time to go back to your village and support your village. Agana is hurting. I believe Agana is hurting. We have so many outside voters. Outside voters. Agana is hurting. Opponent against my wife said, hurrah. Hurrah for the new mayor. Later on, she found out that there was illegal voters. She doesn't know about, well, I didn't know there was illegal voters in Agana. She doesn't know. And even another person from Agana, he didn't even know there was illegal voters. It's opening it up. Opening up to everybody. You live in Agana, you live in your village, 29 village, to be precise, to be exact, 29 village. If you live, I'm sorry. I thought I wrote, anyway, I was distracted. So, but I'm still going to appeal. You guys did a tremendous job. But I'm still going to appeal. Why? My documentation, it's right here. Pictures. I'm not a policeman. My wife's not a policeman. My daughter's not a policeman. I'm not a policeman. To prove something that they do not live here. 8 people in that. Another couple of more people in that abandoned house. It's all boarded up. They cut the grass, yeah, to maintain it. Outstanding. They maintain it. Do I see people there? No. Do I see people after work? Do I see people at 6 before I go to work at 5:30? No. Do I go over there at 2:30? Nobody was there. 2:45 in the morning. They're also 2:45 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning. Nobody's there. Now give me a break. You have to be a resident of Guam. You cannot have 8 people in one house. That's overcrowding. As Mr. Panala will probably say, that's overcrowding. It's against the rules, federal guidelines. Overcrowding. Why is it overcrowding? Fire involved. All those good stuff.
Okay, well, your senior point
Thank you
is
very much.
very well
That's all I'm
taken.
going to say.
Thank you.
We're good. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jovi San Augustine. I just want to commend the legal counsel for the Guam Election Commission for all his work that he has done. The law is there, and we shall apply the law. That is why he has all the laws that are in front of him, and he applied it that is applicable to what our complaint and the challenges are. So we'll leave it with the Superior Court of Guam when we appeal this matter.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Jolina Mason Augustine, and I'm just going to read off my phone. So there are 2 important responsibilities that are only for U.S. citizens: to vote in elections and to serve on a jury. I have lived in Agana for over 30 years, and in that time, as a passionate voter and a dedicated member of that community, I believe that our neighborhood deserves our attention and care. Agana may be small, less than 5 minutes from one end to the other, but the connections we share here run deep. I know the people who call our village home. I pass by these homes every single day. And it doesn't take a genius to know numerous people do not reside in a certain house they claim they do. The only ones who suffer from this are the people who reside there. There was a fire that happened earlier this year. 2 hours they couldn't find water for the fire extinguisher. The fire was blazing till the mid-morning. Was the mayor there? Were we informed? No. Taking pictures of properties isn't intrusion or stalking. The law is there for a reason, and we shall apply it. The GEC says it every election, vote where you live. This is about showing respect and taking steps to ensure that we apply the law. The board almost let 2 residents who clearly stated that they are residing in Talafofo to vote in Hagåtña. That is absurd. Public record is public record, and when you sign under penalty of perjury that you reside at the residence you state you reside at, that's a felony offense. We owe it to ourselves and to our future generations to address these issues with the attention and care they deserve. Back in 2020, there was a home where the GEC removed 2 from Hagåtña voters list, and this was one of the homes that they said they reside at. This home, clearly the grass is kept clean, but nobody resides there. It's boarded up, and they removed the person who said that they stated they lived there. And it just so happens in this post-Guam, dated November 24, 2020, updated November 26, 2020, Mr. Gumatauta was one of the residents who was removed from the Hagåtña registry. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, being none, we will motion to recess until Friday, August 16th at 5:30 p.m. here at the Commission Conference Room. Is there a motion to recess? So move, second. All those in favor, say aye. Oppose? Okay. We are in recess at this point. 5:30 on Friday, the 16th. Thank you.